with Sid and Dion, brothers on a comedy path. All jokes aside, we about to change the math. Real talk plus no filter equals not your usual chatter. From sports to politics, all subjects matter. Never shallow, we about to go into the deep end. Get ready to dive in, go ahead, grab a friend. Now this is grown people business, keep them kids inside. Now that's debatable, jump on, it's time to ride. Yeah, now that's debatable.
Yo, you heard him. It's time to start the show. We are not as debatable as a tandem, but separately, we are Sydney and Dion. But when we come together, we are like a magical force of debate and talk and knowledge here to kick off your Monday, almost every Monday, except when we have to do it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. But you can almost count on us being here on Wednesdays. Happy to be here with you guys. Shout out to you if you are on YouTube watching us. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. Shout out to everybody all over the podcast world. Don't you forget to click the subscribe button and share us. Stop being selfish. Share us. What's up, Dion?
You said we're always here on Wednesdays. We're not always here on Wednesdays. Matter of fact, we're rarely here on Wednesdays.
I said Mondays, except when we're here on Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
And then after that, you said we're always here on Wednesdays, which is why I'm clarifying that we're rarely here on Wednesdays.
Let me tell you something, sir. Don't ruin my outstanding opening that I did off the cuff. Look at me. Quick, off the cuff.
Well, be correct on the cuff. How about that?
Take your ass off, right off screen.
Happy Monday to all the master debaters, however you are enjoying the show, whether it's via the podcast, via YouTube, or joining us live on Facebook. We surely do appreciate it. Like Sydney said earlier, hit that subscribe button and make sure you share. If you're watching on Sydney's feed right now, hit that share button. If you're watching through the podcast group, tell a friend, add a friend to the group. We need to grow the show, and you guys can help us do that. So hit that share button. Send an invite to one of your pals, one of your people who love to argue with you. Send them this so they can debate with us.
And you know what? Another thing. Y'all need to start sharing us. You know why? Because, Dion, how long we been doing this show now? 3-4 years?
Yep.
There have been so many shows with two black dudes doing exactly what Dion and I have done. Popping up all over the internet. Still in our flow. Still in that shit. Getting more views than us. And I know part of it is because they got bigger platforms than we do at the present. But they're not nearly as smart as we are. And so I sit back. Sometimes I send the clips of Dion. I say, these motherfuckers are doing our show. Help us out so people can see that we were doing it first. Fuck Desus and Mero. Fuck the pivot. Fuck, I'm saying it. Drink champs. Fuck all that. We were doing it first. They weren't doing shit till we started this shit.
You sound like Soulja Boy. Just stole my motherfucking flow. Drink champs. The pivot.
All of them. And I like Ryan Clark. And I ain't got nothing against them boys. Over at Drink Champ. Well, a couple of them. A couple things I got. I won't go into right now. But, who else is out there doing what we do? Mace. And who's his partner? Cameron. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Because you put suits on don't mean you ain't doing our shit. You're doing our shit, man. So help us spread the word. That's all I'm trying to say.
Happy Monday to you.
Anybody out there think I'm drinking? It's only liquid death. The only thing I'm drinking.
Really good water, by the way.
Not too bad once you get used to drinking water out of a can.
That is true.
Takes a minute. But the clubs are it seems we all are stocking right now, the green rooms with. So it's all right. Got a great show lined up for you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. I see Mongo is in here. Wade, what's good? Bruce is with us. See, Bruce says he is correct. See, Danielle is in here with us. She said, I just invited my friend Michael. Thank you very much, Danielle Marie. I appreciate you for that. Mary is here with us as usual. Marissa is here with us. I know that's a tandem there on that screen. And Aaliyah is here. Yo. Aaliyah is probably one of my new favorites because she always comes in and she's always dropping something that makes me laugh. I got some old favorites, so don't y'all get all weirded out about it. Aaliyah is one of my new favorites. And she comes in with educated comments. You guys know how I am about that. Don't just come in with bullshit. I don't respect that shit at all. What's up, Britt? Thank you for jumping in here. Don't come in here with bullshit. If you have something to say, let the shit be fucking educated. Even if it's wrong, even if you're completely wrong, at least if I say, where did you get that bullshit from? You can cite your sources. You guys know how I'm about that. I should have probably been a professor. I don't know how long I would have lasted on campus because I've probably been drinking and hanging out with the students and just barely making it to class myself. But y'all know how. Cite your sources, man. Don't come here with bullshit. And the Leah comes in, man. She's always got something clever to say. She always makes me laugh. I like that. Entertaining is what I enjoy. Dion, I feel like I'm the only one with some energy today, baby. What's good with you? What's good
I
with you?
mean, you acting like you won all your bets over the weekend, so I'm letting you enjoy your sauce
I'm gonna tell
because
you
I got
what.
annihilated over the weekend.
You know I don't bet, so no, I didn't make any bets. Only gambling I do is fantasy football, and I am 1-3, getting my head kicked in like a motherfucker. But I am excited because I got my Halloween decorations up. Spent the day putting my Halloween shit up, man. I can't wait till the show's over. Suns went down. I'm gonna go out there and see them all lit up and be out there, man. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, man. I enjoy doing that shit up.
You are one of the very few black people I know who gets excited about Halloween. You're the only black person I know who decorates their house for Halloween.
Well, that's partially because I live in a nice white neighborhood where people ain't gonna come by and steal my shit. So so I can
Is
put
that
stuff.
is that why black people don't decorate?
But what
Anybody see my skeleton?
that's what I'm saying. A lot of the ones I know, that's exactly why they don't. I ain't putting no shit out there. So you can motherfuckers come by and take
It's
it.
like, is that my witch, bitch?
You ever see motherfuckers put some inflatables up in the hood? Hell no. The motherfuckers be going like that before the sun is up. Soon
They
as you
done
turn
suck
that
the
last
air
light,
out of them.
oh bro, you can't turn off all your lights in your house. The minute they think you sleep, your shit's off the front.
So,
So
nigga,
no.
did you steal the air out of my inflatable?
And we get crazy with it. We not only do Halloween, then right behind it we do Thanksgiving, and right behind that we do Christmas.
I've never been big on decorations for one day, but I get why people like it. Not my thing, but you do you.
All right, well, we got a good show lined up for you guys. I am excited about it. I'm trying to have some energy. Dion is kind of holding me down. So you guys uplift me and uplift him too with your energy and your comments. Aaron is in here too. He says, "Good to see you, Dion." Oh, hey, Sid
What
too.
up?
Fuck you, Aaron. Or starts coming with some bullshit. Jody says your younger brother Vince got a ball spot bigger than Alaska. That ain't no bullshit, OG. That's fucked up, Jonas. You just come in here and start talking about baby brother like that?
Damn.
Jesus. I know. Well, he and Jonas go way back. Way back. Facebook user says, my Halloween decorations have been up. No inflatables yet. I think the donkeys might mess them up.
That's Roxy.
Okay, Roxy. See, Roxy know what I'm talking about. All right. So let's jump into the show. First topic we're going to get into is one. I mean, first one I want to jump into. So there are some things that have happened in this country to different groups of people that have been just momentous occasions or just been some of the most disastrous moments in their lives. Obviously, we have that generation, the Vietnam War was their thing. We had the generation where Pearl Harbor was their thing in World War II, of course. And I don't want to take this, of course, we all who are watching right now, we have 9/11. Thank you, Jonas. I appreciate it, brother. Hope you can stay on with us for a little while. Keep the comments coming. Of course, we have 9/11. But when you're a young person, like I know when JFK was assassinated, meant something great. It's a great pain for my mother to this day. And she was very young. But for me, the thing that I go back to is Tupac. I don't know why. I don't know why you laugh, man. That
Because you don't went from Vietnam, World War II to JFK, 9/11, and Tupac. Okay.
I'm sorry, because when Tupac died, that could not have meant something to a lot of people out there, like
No,
myself.
I'm sure it
Okay,
did.
okay. So let me finish my intro before you go
Go ahead.
shitting on it. All right, just because you are heartless and all of a sudden a cold-hearted individual who think everybody need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps doesn't mean that things can't mean something.
That's not what I said, but okay.
That's what I heard. Anyway, so for me and a lot of other people, jackass, when Tupac died, it was a heartbreaking moment. I will gladly admit that for me, it really brought me down. I remember exactly where I was, and that's what I wanted to say. It's one of those moments where a lot of people remember exactly where you were when you heard that Tupac had been shot and killed. I myself will never forget the day, along with some other people I've talked to since it was reported that they had finally arrested the murderer after 30 years. The man's name is, I wrote it down here, Dwayne Keith Davis, a.k.a. Keefy D, or Keith D, or how the hell they want to go ahead and say that. He was arrested over the weekend after 30 years. And what we did not know, because a lot of us gave up on the whole thought that they would even find someone, let alone arrest someone actually, was that they had been doing some more investigating and interviews over the last 5 years. And it looks like he talked his own self into prison with some things that he has said. Now, I want to get into this. I want to hear from people out there who may agree with me on what it felt like for you. Maybe we have some people here who are still Tupac fans. Maybe we have people on here who could care less. Whatever it is, we want to hear. Aaron says Tupac is in Cuba. Aaron, I'm about to block you. But I want to go to Dion, who was making fun of me because he's a cold-hearted bastard who doesn't care about anyone else's emotions or feelings. Dion, you have the floor, sir.
No, I thought you were about to compare Tupac's murder to the JFK assassination. That's why I was laughing because I was
Oh,
like, I know he's not talking about Tupac getting shot as the same as JFK's assassination. So that was what the chuckle was about. 1996, I was 12, so it didn't really register with me. I mean, I wasn't that big of a Tupac fan. I didn't quite understand what he meant in the context of the grand scheme of the world and how things operated at that point in time, because I was 12, I wasn't worldly. So it didn't quite register what his death meant at the time. Everybody knew about the East Coast, West Coast beef. You either a red guy or a blue guy. There was no, I like them both. Yeah, that would get your ass whooped. You better
that's
pick
true.
one. So
That is true.
it's like,
That was true.
I do distinctly remember that. Now fast forward 30 years and we finally have someone who's been arrested on murder charges for killing one of the most popular people of the 90s, one of the most famous people of all time if you really think about it. For him to for him to be arrested because of a book he wrote is just it just kind of reminds me of that Dave Chappelle sketch. See, I told you. It's like, why would you tell on yourself if you get away with something? Like, if you get away with murdering one of the most famous people of all time, why would you talk? This is another. It seems like every episode I'm on here talking about how I can't understand how people would be so dumb or do something. This is one of those things where what does he benefit to gain by telling the world that we got get back on Tupac because they stomped out my nephew? Like, did he
When you
think the statute of limitations were over? Did he think people were going to be like, oh yeah, we're proud? Like, I don't understand what the out. There was no positive outcome for this whatsoever. So
and
why he wouldn't just shut the fuck up and be quiet
And he didn't just
makes no
talk about.
sense.
And he didn't just talk about it. I mean, he gives details. And you guys keep your comments coming in like Aaliyah, because I want to jump on that, Aaliyah, because that's a good one there, a good question. He didn't just kind of whisper it to a couple people. Like you said, he wrote a book. He was on podcasts. Anybody who would listen, Mr. Dwayne Keith Davis was willing to talk to you about this. And yes, what gets me is when you hear how this all started from beginning to end. This all started over a death row chain because someone was trying to snatch a death row chain supposedly off a death row member, and we all know that they were if they weren't a blood, they were running with bloods. You're a rapper like Tupac, and you was running with bloods. A couple articles I read, all of his security were blood gang members. So someone tried to snatch a death row chain. They beat the guy down. Now this guy's crew, Dwayne Keith Davis, who called himself a shot caller, decides we're going to have to go back and we got to do something. So he gets the guns, he gets into a van, He rides around. Now, the guys he's riding around with in the van are not quite as sold on this idea of riding up and shooting and killing Tupac. So when they stop at a store, he gets out of the van with the weapons, gets into a Cadillac where there are three other people, I believe, in it. Two in the back, one who's driving. Hands them the weapons, then they circle around until they find Tupac and Suge Knight, who was driving the car, and unloading the car and kill Tupac. All of this over a death row chain. I mean, it's not just this bit of black on black violence, black on black crime that I'm disgusted with because it's something so small. I've lost family members to things as small or smaller than this. And to think that they're still happening today, and to know that, as you were saying, one of the most influential people who's probably ever walked the planet died because of something so insignificant. I couldn't because I am a big Tupac fan, and you're right. You were either Tupac or you were Biggie. There was no fucking in between. Like, if you listened to Biggie, you had to listen to that shit real low if all your people thought you were Tupac, and vice versa. It was just that hardcore about it. For people who didn't live through those times, might just be fucking something you can't understand, but that's the way that it was. But I couldn't help, while I was reading the articles here over the weekend, think to Aaliyah's question, how much of this can you put maybe on Tupac? Because he's not an innocent victim in all of this. He did run up on the guy and attack the guy and beat the guy down, and all the other guys came over and jumped in. When you look at Tupac's upbringing, his history, being his family's a Black Panther, if I remember correctly, I believe Tupac went to a fine art school over on the East Coast in New York as well.
Juilliard.
Yeah, the Juilliard, and all these different things, and to go from that to this moment. While I'm upset he's gone, I've been upset that he's gone, not as upset as I was at that young age of a teenager. How could his life been different? Could he have been a politician? Could he have re-energized the Black Panthers? Who knows what he could have done, because he was more than just a rapper.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? We all remember what it was like back then for us of age, what it was like back then when this whole street code thing is you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And whether there was a bounty out on this guy tried to rob somebody and he got what was coming to him, and then the people who were friends with him didn't like that man got what was coming to him, so they retaliated. And so the cycle of hate just perpetuates itself. You do something to me, so I'm gonna do something to you, never looking at the fact that you were the one who started it, so I'm gonna be the one to finish it, and that's supposed to be the end of it. It's no, you kill my guy, I kill your guy until everybody's gone. It's the blind leading the blind. At some point you have to rise above that situation. And unfortunately, I don't think Tupac lived long enough to spread that message, because I really do think had he lived to be, 30 or 40 years old, he would have realized that, what I was doing in my younger days probably wasn't the best thing. He was on a different level mentally. Like, I think he understood the situation that he was in, but he also understood that he had to take advantage of that situation that he was in. But at the same time, it's like, look, you do dirt comes back on you. Nobody's clean in this situation. If Keith D's nephew had never snatched the chain, they never had beef with Tupac. So it's one of those things where you created your own problem and now you have to deal with it. You talk about black on black crime, like it could be white on white crime. All crime is that way. It's where if you aren't willing to turn the other cheek and be taken advantage of in a situation and rise above it, then you're going to be caught in that situation for as long as that situation is willing to perpetuate itself. You can be the bigger person, but if you're dealing with small people, it's never going to go away. So at some point, you have to squash it. At some point, it has to be let go. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, it is with everybody being dead on both sides.
What's crazy is when you talk about Tupac, and we'll get to the comments. Just hang in there. I see yours, Jonas, Bruce as well. Miranda, thank you for jumping in with us too. I appreciate you. She says OJ wrote a book too. He did. That dude is something else. Well, he just won't stop talking. He has me. I laugh every time he pops up. Tupac seemed like he almost wanted this type of ending. When you look at some of the other altercations he's been in, when you look at the shooting at the New York studio where he blamed it on Puffy and Biggie, And then now you're hearing, if you're ever on YouTube, you can go down this YouTube rabbit hole. There's one thing about all gangsters, I think, whether they be in the mob or they're just old gang bangers from the hood. Once they get to be of a certain age, if you're willing to give them a little bit of money, they'll get on camera and talk. So, like back in the day, you couldn't find anybody who would talk about Biggie being shot, and and to hear some of the stuff that they're willing to admit now, bodyguards and other rappers and things like that. The big thing that I didn't know because I didn't grow up in that New York scene, and I was just a rap fan, Haitian Jack was a real individual. And Tupac calls out Haitian Jack in a song or two because he had beef with him. And I believe there was a couple of guys, not I believe, I know from their stories, there were a couple of guys that told Tupac, whoa, you need to slow down and not fuck with this dude because this is the dude who's serious about his business and he's serious in the streets. And that's who eventually some of these guys have connected that shooting to Haitian Jack and beef that Tupac had with him because Tupac really was messing with a guy he did not know enough about at that time. So when you look at a lot of what he was doing, and I don't know why he seemed to be on this need for this type of negative attention to be brought his way, but he really did seem like he was looking for it for whatever reason.
I mean, it's part of the culture. Is don't test my gangster. If you bring the drama, then I have to show you why I'm in the play. It's that mentality. Like you can't let anybody perceive you to be weak in any aspect of your life. You got to be hard all the time. Uh, Cat Williams joke about DMX, like we gang banging at breakfast. Like really, we like
Yeah.
there's no time off for this type of mentality, and it's unfortunate because everybody knows you can't burn the candle on both ends and have light at the end of the day. So these situations are a perfect example of leaders not being leaders. When you set the standard, when you set the culture, and people follow you, it's your responsibility to do the right thing at all times. But at the same time, people aren't going to follow you if they feel like you're soft and you're not capable of leadership. So it becomes one of those double-edged swords where you're not old enough to know better as a follower. So you look to your leader who knows better but doesn't want to lose you as a follower. So they have to. I mean, Donald Trump is a perfect example. He knows what he's doing is bullshit, but he don't want to lose them followers. He can't come around. He can't ever apologize. Even when he knows he's wrong, he can't be like, "Yeah, I did that." When he got COVID, he been telling people it's a hoax the whole time. Oh, nope, the vaccine's good because I rushed it out, but it was too late at that point. So you lose credibility if you own it in the moment. But as you get older, you look back and you go, "Oh, hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done all that. That wasn't the right thing to do."
I want to get to some of these comments real quick, and you make some good points there, Dion. Aaron says he was getting paid, speaking about Keith D. He was getting paid by doing interviews and thought he had immunity. So, Aaron, you make a good point because I think 10 years ago, he had said what he did, but he said it in a proffer, and they couldn't bust him at that time. And I was reading up on a proffer, and the proffer is I'm gonna be loose here with my description. Somebody out there, you correct me if I'm wrong, please. A proffer is where you sit down, and you kind of discuss the misdeeds that you've done, but I think you're doing it during the investigation of maybe another case, and in order to help with that case, they'll take that information from you, but they can't charge you with it. They can't do anything with it. So you may be right, Aaron. Maybe he thought that proffer was for life. He could write a book and do whatever he wanted to do. I don't know. I would love to ask Mr. Keith D exactly what was he thinking at that time.
Well, here's what he should have been thinking: don't trust the police ever. Like, I don't understand. I don't care how many times they wrote it down in writing and signed by each and every last officer in the country. I still wouldn't trust it because we all know how people are about rules. Roe versus Wade. We all thought wasn't going nowhere, and poof, is gone. So the fact that he did something he knew, it would be different if he just killed some random person, right? Somebody the whole world didn't know. But people are still upset 30 years later over Tupac not being here. People still think he lives down in Cuba. People still think he got an album coming out next summer. It's like, so you murdered one of the most famous people, and you didn't think far enough ahead in the future to think that, you know what, maybe people aren't going to let this go. You know, it's the same way for the doctor that killed Michael Jackson. It's like, people, you never get to come back from something like this. You don't get to reassimilate into regular society. So you make $5,000 doing an interview on a podcast, Vlad TV or The View or whatever the hell. Like, that's not ingratiating you back into the good graces of civilization. You are a leper forever. You have to own that. And there's a reason why you ain't seen Michael Richards ever since he went on his tirade at the Laugh Factory. Some things you just can't come back from. And murdering one of the most famous people of all time is one of them. So this idea that, oh, let me go here and tell my story and I'll get a little bit of money and maybe people will have sympathy for me. It's like, no, you're an idiot. Your nephew was dumb for trying to rob one of the most famous people on the planet. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You know,
Yep.
this whole not planning ahead for the future thing when it comes to consequences of your actions, it amazes me that people don't really think that, oh, if I can get away with it in the short term, and the short term could be longer than you know, a couple of months or a year or two, 5 years, 6 years. Like, but if the rest of your life, everybody else that was in that car is dead. So
Yeah.
they're definitely pinning anything and everything they can on you.
Because
And you seem to be the guy that was in charge of everything anyway. So it's like, you did yourself no favors by writing this book and doing these interviews, and now you're screwed.
you could have said anything, but you said you were the shot caller. You're the one with the guns. You're the one handing the guns. You're the one who telling these guys this is what we're getting ready to do. You left one vehicle to get into another vehicle because you didn't think the guys in the first vehicle were hungry enough to do this. So yeah,
Hey, yo, Doe, let me out.
so I can get in this other car. All right.
Boys in the hood.
Jonas says, I fell in love with Tupac's music when I was 12. The All Eyes on Me double album came out in 96, and I used to listen to it at nighttime while in bed. Memorized that whole thing. I naturally followed up with the Life or Death album by Biggie, another solid double album. Both of them, solid, solid, solid. But I was a Tupac guy. I do like that Biggie. I love Biggie's music. Everything he's ever made, I love it. I listen to it now sometimes when I'm in the gym. I listen to some podcasts, I listen to some everything. But that was a point in time, and it was weird because you had nothing to do with this. Nothing. Most of the country had nothing to do with this beef between East Coast and West Coast, which was really not even the beef. When you go back and look over it, it was all created by the media. And again, going back from there to now, like, no one would talk about any of this, but now everybody wants to talk. And everyone will say, oh, that wasn't even a real beef. We all know that was the magazines, the media putting that together, putting that out to sell more magazines and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And of course, they fed into it to sell more records. You know, Tupac fed into it, sell more records, went after Mobb Deep back in the day, hit him up, went after Biggie, Mobb Deep, and anybody else who was within scattershot of that song. Talking about fucking Faith Evans and all these different things. So it was a weird time. But yes, you could be anywhere in this country. You were forced to make a decision. Are you Tupac or you Biggie? You cannot be both.
But if you look at it in the context of, you know, what they were doing in the moment, like, while you're in it, you don't foresight, oh, is this the right thing for me to, should I handle it this way? It's like, you know, like I said earlier, you literally have to diss them back. You can't go behind closed doors and have a sit down and a powwow and then, you know, come out of that situation with all the beef gone without it being understood that, yo, while we're in public, we got to keep up this charade. You know, it's kind of like professional wrestling where they go out there and pretend to hate each other, but they all ride together to the next city and they go out at the end of the night to drink together. And so it's like this beef got perpetuated by magazines and by music. But in reality, for the people who were in the middle and who had to choose sides, you hated people you didn't know because they didn't like the person that you liked. I remember being in middle school and seeing people fight over Biggie and Tupac, like literally throwing
Yeah.
fists and
Yes.
getting suspended for school
Yes.
because one guy liked Biggie and one guy liked Tupac. And I'm like, neither one of them fucking know y'all.
Yes.
Like it, your support for the foolishness just further increases the foolishness, but it didn't benefit Biggie or Tupac because they both ended up dying within months of each other.
Yeah, yeah,
And so everybody loses in the long run because for whatever reason, the idea that if somebody steps on your shoes or tries to snatch your chain, that they have to die, like the seriousness of the offenses never matches the seriousness of the consequences.
we never had this before, though. We never had a beef between rappers like this before. No one could have ever foresaw that not only would one die, but both would be murdered. And to Facebook users' question, didn't they used to say Biggie shot him? Yeah, there was talk that Biggie had shot him then. There was talk that Biggie and Biggie and Puff were behind the shooting at the record studio in New York. This was a long. Tupac thought that they were behind it as well. Now, again, going back to what I'm saying, these cats who are old school cats now are saying they're not sure if they ever believed Tupac thought Biggie really shot him. They think that Tupac knew it was Haitian Jack, but he knew enough by then not to fucking say Haitian Jack's name again in a song or otherwise. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I'm just going based off some interviews that I've heard. But yes, he absolutely did. Used to say anyway that it was Biggie and Puff that was behind it. He said at one point he thought Nas was behind something. I thought as well in New York, if I remember that correctly. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I know I got some big time Biggie and Tupac fans out there. But no one ever thought this was going to happen. To be dead, and then another one would die. Tupac dying, we all thought this was
Oh,
it. This was over.
I remember. I remember after hearing that Tupac died. I remember like Biggie's next. I knew for a fact they were going to kill Biggie. I didn't think he'd make it to the end of the year, and he didn't. I because you can't the quote unquote West Coast can't take that L.
Right.
I knew back then it was like, oh, it's a done deal, and I'm pretty sure Biggie knew too that once he found out Tupac was passed, there was only be a matter of time before they were coming after him because he never came out there and was like, yo, we need to squash this, we need to stop. Like he never made a song about putting the guns down and I love that man, blah 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 blah. There was never that
He went out to
powwow moment.
California, which was crazy to me.
I mean, it is what it is. When you really think about it as an adult, like as a grown man, the idea of a gang as a grown man is so ridiculous at the end of the day. You want me to do what? Because why? Because we live on the same street. I'm supposed to throw my life away for you for the street? For literally the shitty area that we live in with no jobs and no future. Because I live here, I'm supposed to ride for this? Like it doesn't make any sense. If you're a young person growing up in that environment, of course you don't want to be outside of it because you have to deal with it every day. And so it's like, yo, do I want to get beat up every day or do I join in with the guys who are doing the beefing because this is all I got? And then people on the outside are going, why are you doing that? I'm like, I'm just trying to survive. And at the end of the day, if you don't have anything to look forward to, of course you're going to choose that life. But if you're in it and if you think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense. What you're beefing over doesn't make any because all y'all doing is selling drugs or pimping hoes or making music and everything that the base is criminal. And it's like there's no future in that. You can't sustain that.
Yeah, but let me throw this
It's
at you. Let me throw this at you. I don't mean to cut you off. I do want to cut you off because I'm gonna throw this at you. Because I've had this conversation before, and I'm not disagreeing with you by any means. And when I ask folks out there if you're enjoying the conversation, please click the share button. Click that share button. If you look at gangs and what they do, you can take that and you can drop that in almost any other thing we have in society. You can drop that in, especially if you want to, and especially if we want to talk about those individuals, those young men who have less than a lot of other people. You can say the same thing about the military, who come in and swoop in those kids who don't have father figures, who don't have mothers who are able to keep an eye on them. for these young men who think they have nothing else going for themselves, whether it be any type of schooling or anything else they can see beyond the age of 21 years old, and have them scooped up. And you can go on beyond the military as well. But there are plenty of groups that come in and take advantage of these individuals and try to pull them into their worlds to use them how they will going forward. Not that I
No, I'm
disagree
not.
with you when it comes to gangs. I'm just saying, man, that's not the only group of people we can say this about.
Right. I mean, religion does it. You get indoctrinated very young. The military does it. You get indoctrinated when you're in high school. The gangs do it. You get indoctrinated when you're born into it. And that your uncles and your cousins and your brothers and all your friends are part of that. I'm just speaking for myself. When I was a kid, I looked at that stuff. I'm like, y'all are dumb. Like, it never registered because I had cousins who wanted to be gangbangers and I knew that they weren't. And I'm like, you want to be something that I know for a fact you're not. For to be
Right.
cool to people who don't have a long life expectancy. Like you've
Right.
seen their friends
Right.
get killed,
Right.
and you want to be part. Like, how does that register mentally to people to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm about that life and let's do it. Like, it doesn't serve any real purpose. And then as the leaders of these gangs and these groups, like, how can you say you love your people when you get them slaughtered for something so trivial as what street you grew up on?
Right.
This
It's about the money.
Crips and Bloods originated as community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crips stands for Community Resistance and Progress. So they were supposed to resist police brutality, and the Bloods were, we're all blood. We protect each other, and this is. But then it turns into this. Oh well, we get infiltrated by the government, and they start flooding the
Yeah.
communities with drugs.
Yeah.
And then when you see what if you sell drugs to people, how much money you can make, and that lifestyle turns into, oh, you can't tell me what to do. I pay a cop here. There's corruption on that side of it, and then it just snowballs into this culture of
I'm listening to you. I just had dogs bust into my office. Go ahead.
I think about the whole situation, and it's just really sad to me as I look at it with eye of scrutiny. Like, none of this makes any sense. Like, everybody knows drugs are bad, everybody knows violence is bad, and yet somehow that if you live a block over, I have to hate you for eternity. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. It's absolutely asinine, I agree with everything that you said. Hold on.
He about to beat that dog. Ooh, that dog gonna get an ass whooping when this show's over.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I do. I beat dogs. Janelle Diane Bradley's with us. What's up, Janelle? Thank you for jumping in with us. If you're still with us, I hope you are. Hope you're enjoying the show. Jonah says, although I love their albums, I may have accepted their deaths early after listening to their albums. That beef at that time felt so real. It was crazy. 100%. Mary says, yes, I remember hearing that. Let's see. Gangs don't make any sense to me. We touched on that. Let me just go scroll through here. Miranda says he got caught up. He could have been so much more. And I believe she's answering my comment or my question about Pac. 100%. I think a lot of people have said that. The question has been, hey, what do you think Pac would be doing now if he was alive? They threw that at some famous rappers today, and I think they a lot of them thought he'd be a politician of some sort. He'd be an activist of some sort. I would hope. I find it hard to think about where I think he would be because he seems so set on the course on the destination he ended up creating for himself.
Well, I mean, he could have been whatever he wanted to be because he was that good at what he did. He did. I mean, he could have been a politician. He could have been a poet. He could have been a public speaker. He could have been. There's a motivational guy. I can't think of his name, but he speaks to young athletes all across the
Oh, I
country.
know you talk about black guy. Yeah, yeah.
He's got the motive. I mean, that could have been easily. That could have been Tupac. The thing that when I hear other rappers talk about what he could have been, I'm like, why aren't you that? You knew that about him. Y'all were friends. Like, why aren't you taking up the mantle that he laid down? Why, you know? And I understand that not everybody is a social justice warrior. I understand that, but at the same time, it's like you. If you're not using your influence for positivity, then what is the point of any of this? If we're not moving forward and progressing and helping people as best we can, like at what point do you have enough of your own stuff that you start helping other people? I saw a post on Twitter and then somebody said, what would you do if you got everything that you wanted? What do you do with the rest of your life? And I was reading the comments and people were like, get more, more. And not one person said, oh, I go help somebody
That's
else.
and that's people's natural thought process. Get more,
I,
get more, get more, get
does
more.
that not sound unnatural though? Like if you have everything that you could ever want and there's nothing more to get, how do you get more?
Well,
I mean, it's
you
like that
was
Kobe Bryant commercial. More. Like, what are you talking about, Kobe Bryant?
you want we want more. I want more. You, my mother's fascinated with the thought that
Okay,
I want more.
but what I'm saying is, why not want more for other people? Like, you
Sure.
already have everything that you need. So,
No, 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 no. It's not about having everything you need. It's about having everything you want.
and that's what and that was the post is they had everything that they wanted and they still wanted more. And I'm like, you can't. There's literally not enough space to have everything you want plus everything you want plus everything you want, because once you get everything that you want and you want something else, you ain't got no place to put it.
I've already come to the
So
I've already come to the conclusion that people don't start really thinking the way you want them to think till they get a little closer to seeing them pearly gates. You know, especially and especially the more money you've accumulated. Because the more money you've accumulated, if you're sitting somewhere like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey, anyone like that, you have fucked some people over to get to that point. So the more of that you've accumulated, the more dirt you've done in life, the more likely when you get close to seeing them pearly gates, now are you going to give back? Or I'm not leaving any of this money to my kids. I'm leaving this to the foundation, and because you try to get into heaven. But people don't think like that until it's time to think like that.
well, it's unfortunate because that's you can't get in that way. And if you did all this dirt and then you waited to the last minute and then be like, oh, I'm gonna be a good person in the last hour. I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
Well, technically, if I'm laying on my deathbed and I have time to repent and ask God to come into my heart as my Lord and Savior, I'm about 80% there. So,
I can guarantee you that shit don't work.
well, you let me know when they
No,
turn
oh,
when they
Jesus
turn
is
your
my
ass
savior.
away. You
Ooh,
let me know when they
no,
turn your ass away.
you can't be on your deathbed talking about I
I
believe
mean,
in Jesus after he
atheists
done
gonna sit
said
here and tell.
because I'm telling you right now, if God can kill the world over fucking people having people have butt sex, he ain't gonna believe you when you say you love him at the last minute. Y'all crazy.
Fake ass book club, but I'm assuming this is Cat is with us. Says Pac was doing a lot of coke allegedly. I had not heard that one. Had you heard that one? I hadn't heard that one.
I wouldn't be surprised. I
I
mean,
mean, wouldn't be surprised either, given what was happening during that time. Cedric D. Edison is with us. What's up, Ced?
what up,
Hope,
said?
hopefully you're still with us, bro. He says, being in a gang for over 20 years, based on that code, they had to ride. Bring violence to Tupac. More to it, but that's the basics. Said, completely get it. Been around it. Related to a lot of folks who work. I completely get that, but doesn't make any more sense.
Right. I get it too, but I'm just saying it's dumb in principle to have to be on guard all the time for something trivial is just it doesn't make any sense. Like if the gang members sat down and were like, "Yo, this is kind of dumb. Them niggas live a block up the street, but we gotta hate them for the rest of our lives." That's kind of dumb if you think about it. Like if you had a rational conversation amongst your gang members, where you're like, "I don't even know them niggas, but yeah, we got beef with them." But what did they do? They ain't do nothing to us. They did something to the people that who are long dead. They did
Yeah.
something to them a long time ago that has nothing to do with this current generation, but you still have that beef kicked down and like that's no way to live and operate and be happy. And I just don't how can you be a happy gangster? I guess you can't be. And to me it just sounds miserable to be always on for some shit that didn't even happen to you.
I'm with you. I never liked standing out on corners that long, so I couldn't have did it. Aaron says after Tupac got shot in New York, he really started to wild out. 100% on that. Facebook user says it's the idiocy of the young, too young to see the value of a long life, and not only that, to also
Janet Holt said that.
okay, Janet, thank you for your comment. Thank you for watching, Janet. I would also say we can add to that, not just being a youth, but not being able to see. Like I'm such a, and I'm not saying anything that other people don't already know. I'm such a person who believes kids have to be able to see it. They have to be able to see it. Whether that be able to see a good relationship between their parents or their mom and her boyfriend or their dad and their girlfriend, whatever it is, how that works out. Be able to see someone getting up who goes to work every day and comes home and pays bills and makes sure there's food. To be able to see that there is someone who cares about you, so you better have your ass home before the street lights come on. Kids have to be able to see that over and over, have to have those examples. If the only example you have is what a lot of these kids in the inner city have, where there's no one who cares, there's no parents, the schools are shit, the only person who seems they want to throw an arm around them, and that's all because they want something out of them, is your neighborhood gangbanger drug dealer because he wants to put you to work. And he's going to bring you in, and now this is family because there's no one else who seems to care about you. Then this is what they see, and this is what becomes reality to them. So I mean, it's really important to get these kids to be able to see something else other than that.
See, but this is where self accountability and realization comes in. You cannot see something and know that it exists, right? You can see a shit ton of bad examples and
So
situation after situation end in complete death and failure, and know, you know what? I watched that person do it. I watched that person do it. I've never seen anybody do it the right way, but here are all these examples of how doing it the wrong way results. And you can make that choice in and of yourself to be like, you know what? I've never seen it done the right way, but I know what not to do. So I'm just going to avoid all those things. And maybe the right way shows up, because that's what happened for me as a kid is I watched people get in bad relationships. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like that guy. I don't want to be like, I don't want her situation to happen to me. It's not something that where you can say, oh, I saw the positive role model and the perfect example and I can emulate that. It's avoiding all the bullshit around your life. Like, you know what? That's not healthy. I don't want to be a part of that. That's not a good idea. I don't want to partake in that. It's part of it is self, because I've seen people break cycles who had no positive role models and no positive outlooks and still get out of the situation that they're in.
of course, there's always going to be the minority that can happen to, or maybe the other is the minority. I don't know. I have to go back and look at the numbers and see which one of those groups would be the minority. But, and I'm not saying that there can't be kids who come up and just have that whatever in them. I believe that a lot of those kids who have whatever they have in them, somebody saw that in them and put an arm around them and kind of help steer them in a certain direction. I think it's very seldom and very few who decide just on my own. I'm not going to go join. I'm going to head off to college, or I'm going to go here because there's positivity over here because I saw. I don't believe that is a regular thing. I think a
I'm
school
not saying
teacher or counselor or someone, hell, your neighborhood gangbanger may tell you, look, I don't want to see you over here. You got some. Like I said before, that's what happened to me. I had cousins who were like,
right.
yo. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that, and I'm agreeing with you in that regard. What I'm saying is that all these excuses of this is all I ever saw, so this is all I ever know is bullshit. Because if that's all you ever saw and you saw it fail, why would you go and sign up for that? Because that's all you know. Why not question yourself on what you don't know? Like, when does the self accountability kick in? And I get it. Most of
I
these
agree with
kids are
that.
kids, you know.
And I agree with you on part two.
So it's half one way and a dozen the other, or whatever the saying is, you know.
I don't know. You chop that all up when you get it. When you
I
come back
really
with
did. I really
it.
did. It's half dozen of what's the saying? It's, I don't remember,
You see
but you
this?
know
Bang,
exactly what
bang,
I'm talking
bang, bang, bang.
about.
Yeah, that's what we be shooting at me on the show. Mary Ballard says something that I did not expect to hear. Mary, I'm looking at somewhere down here as I scroll that you're probably kidding, but Mary says OJ is not a murderer. So and your Facebook user says Mary Ballard. That's an interesting topic. LOL. So I don't know if Mary meant that or not. Bruce Bolter says people want to live stream crimes for content, not realizing they are giving evidence for their own conviction. Aaron says Tupac wasn't a thug. He also says Bill Cosby's case got thrown out because they violated his immunity agreement. I do agree with that. They knew he had some type of immunity agreement already laid down, which is different than the proffer agreement that Mr. Keith D had done up with him. Pops is with us tonight again. He says, "Good evening, everyone. One of the people who spent a lot of time with Haitian Jack is comedian T.K. Kirkland, and he's talked about it extensively in an interview. To what nephew Dion says, it is cultural. Tupac was a revolutionary from the beginning, so the attraction to rap and all that came with it was automatic. Then it came down to competition locally and coast. How many young people are still alive that way? Can't rap a lick, but street cred. What's it worth to you?" And Pops always says that. What's it worth to you? And he makes a good point. You have people out there today, R&B singers, who are, the rumors are floating around that a very popular R&B singer is laced up with the Bloods in a similar way that Tupac was, as far as that's his security and so on and so forth. So he's right. It still happens today. Now, does it happen on the level that we'll see these individuals out in Vegas getting into gang fights over chains? I don't know, but he
You
makes
want
a
to
strong
know?
point. Go ahead.
It's really funny is John Moran is a perfect example of
Job,
somebody
yes,
caught
he's
up.
yep,
I mean,
yep.
it's like we all know you're not that dude, but here you are trying to show us that you are that dude, and you don't have to be that dude. There's no reason for you to be that dude whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. Because Chris Brown is the individual I was speaking about,
Yeah.
being laced up with the Bloods. Aaliyah Craig says, "I heard Jada helped gather evidence." Aaliyah, I would bet all the money I have that you are correct. I would crack the
after she
401k, everything, crack it
after
all.
she after she posted that video of her and Tupac dancing to "Get Jiggy with It," this woman.
Wait, wait a minute. I just lost my house because right behind it, Aaliyah Craig says, just kidding," with a laughing emoji. Aaliyah, I just lost my house because of you. All my money's gone. Oh, I trusted you. I trusted you.
Mary Ballard says, "Not kidding. OJ is not a murderer." Well, according to the law, he's not a murderer, but according to everybody else, that motherfucker did it.
I don't know, man. I tell you what, he either way, if he did or didn't do it, he don't know how to shut the fuck up and go get lost somewhere.
He wrote a book talking about what was that book? If I killed her, this is how I would have done it, or some stupid title. It's like, come on, man.
What did I tell you before? I want to meet the guys who golf with OJ. Who are the guys that say, "Yeah, let's hang out, Jay. Let's do this juice"? Pop says the media had a hand in East Coast, West Coast beef. People don't believe lies because they have to. People believe lies because they want to. As it turns out, it's about street cred, reputations, schoolyard bullshit, next level. Yo, you gonna let him say that about your mama? I remember those arguments.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of what is the value of street cred, because the streets don't care about anybody, and everybody knows that. Like I get love in the hood, but what is the hood's not doing anything for you? It's perpetuating a cycle that's going to have you circling the drain. At some point, you have to look at those people and be like, "Yo, support me in another way, but stop killing each other." Like at some point, somebody has to put a stop to the whirlpool of bullshit.
Guys, we're gonna get through these comments. Want to make sure everyone was heard. Then we're gonna get to our next argument because I want to hear what Dion has to say about Barbie.
Oh my god!
Aaron says, "I was working at the airport when they flew Biggie's body back to NYC. Everyone I worked with was crying at the time. 100% believe it." That funeral procession that they did through the neighborhood, when you go back and see the video of that, and they play it, if you've never seen it, just fast forward to the end of the Biggie movie, which is a really good movie, by the way. Way better than the Tupac movie, which I was very upset by. They show actual live video of the procession as it went through his neighborhood. And they were, I mean, they were out. It looked almost like what you would expect to see if they drove the president's body or Princess Di's body as they did back in the '80s when she died. It was something that's very very emotional
Well,
for
she
me
didn't
to
die in
say.
the '80s. She died in the '90s.
Did she die in the '90s? I thought the
Yeah.
you sure? I thought it was like late '80s she died.
No.
Okay, but maybe I don't care enough to really know. But I was towards the '80s, bro. Let's
Did
see.
she die? I don't think she died in the
See,
80s.
you
No.
over here giving me grief. You
Because
always
you
do
you said
this.
it with such conviction that
You
I had to go back and
always
question
do
it.
this.
I'm
She
like,
died in
what?
the
No,
80s. You
no,
always
she
do
did not
this.
die in the 80s.
She did too. You always do this.
I'm about to Google it.
Yeah, you do that. Facebook user says now exchange the word cult for the word gang. It's the same thing. People become indoctrinated and can't see a way out. 100%. I'm not sure who said that, but that is a very good point, Facebook user. Let's see here. Let me scroll through. The military at least provides some stability, discipline,
Yeah,
and money.
she died in '97. I was like, there's no way she died in the
Princess
'80s.
died in 97?
Yeah,
Well, that's what I
yeah,
said in the
August
90s.
31st.
That's what I said in the 90s.
Yeah, that's what you said.
So the
Got me
military,
tripping.
so the military at least provides some stability, discipline, and money earned honestly with lifelong benefits such as VA loans. It's still brainwashing, but would prefer my kids in the military versus a gang. Of course,
That
everyone
was
would.
Dana.
Dane, of course, we would all prefer our kids not to be in a gang. We're just saying, just
Well, let me ask you this: if the gang had the same benefits as the military, would you care? No, you wouldn't.
you asking, you talking to me?
Yeah, everybody. If you could get if you could get loans from drug dealers who would look out for you, and if gangs did what the military did, well, this would be a whole different question. But that's what
Look,
I'm saying is gangs are rooted in criminality, whereas the military is criminal, but that's not the root of it.
well, I'm gonna tell you what. I look at the military the same way that I do look at gangs, and my thought process was and always will be, unless I can be Nino Brown, who happened to get killed by some old man, but was at the top of the fucking deal. Why the fuck would I get involved with this? If I got to be out here and be some fucking foot soldier, the same way I would look at the military. If I go take the ass fab and test out, I can't be any more than a bullet stopper or be in the infantry unless that's just what I have my heart desire to do. Why would I sign up for that? So there are different things, Dana, and to anyone else listening, even with the military, I wouldn't sign up for VA loan or no VA loan. Because if this is
Well,
what
I
I'm going
mean,
to do, means you're going to drop me off over here in the Middle East someplace, I'm not doing that either.
the sacrifices that you have to make for a gang versus the sacrifices you have to make for the military are one and the same, and so the comparison is valid. But the VA in and of itself, I mean, they had to have John Stewart go and fight for the 9/11 victims to get
No,
their
not the
money. It's just
hospital.
like,
Not the hospital. VA loans.
well, I know, but Veterans Affairs, right? But that's what I'm saying. It's all part, like, once you're in and you get out, they don't. Once they're done with you, they're done with you. There's no, like, people don't care. They will they will clap for you at the end of a movie about soldiers, but when you're the homeless man on the corner who's a former veteran, people look at you like, I don't give a fuck about you, bum. I mean, look what happened during Vietnam when everybody came back and they were like, losers.
I mean, that was a different time then. That was a different time.
But it's the same mentality.
Like, well,
The government had every reason to take care of these people that they used and abused and sent to die on a lie, and they didn't. And they
100.
let people, and then they let the populace think that these people were on some bullshit when in reality they were literally just doing what y'all told them to do.
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying that was a different time. I don't think we have that quite going on today, but but your point, I get it. Carter says, as smart as he was, I mean, even 50 Cent put on a bulletproof vest. Yeah, well, he was out there doing some shit too. Let's see. I'm trying to get through these folks. Just hanging in with us. Facebook user says, as a young person, gangs give you the false sense of security. We don't have enough boots on the ground working with these youth, giving them a lifeline. Yet we tend to expect different results. I would
That's
agree with
Roxy.
that, Roxy. I would agree with that 100%. I didn't want to dig into that side of it too deep because that is another topic for another day. Maybe we'll get into, but I definitely agree with you. I hate to say my former party kind of saw to that. Miranda Adams says Snoop Dogg has been a positive force in society, not so much in activism, but he gives back to the community. He's a family man and always has the best vibes. And even with Tupac, sorry, Snoop Dogg, you hear Snoop Dogg talk about it now. When he first went over to Master P and he showed Master P the songs that he put together, the album he wanted to put out, it was Master P that said, homeboy, pump your brakes. You won't live to even cash those checks from that.
Right.
So again, even with a grown man with a wife, with a family, who grew up in the inner city of California, in LA, coming from that environment, seeing what it did, seeing what hanging, he still wanted to give some get back and kind of continue on with some of that. And it took another grown man, thankfully enough, a wise one, to throw his arm around him and say, "Hey, man, you can't do that. Let me show
Also,
you this over here."
but that grown man wasn't a part of the situation either. He was an outsider looking in, and thankfully, clear heads prevailed with
Yeah,
Snoop trying to get his life back on track. But that's what I'm saying. It's like if it takes an outsider to get to somebody who's on the inside, at what point do the people on the inside realize, yo, we can never get out of this? It's literally a hamster on a wheel. We're spinning the tires, but it's not going anywhere. It's 2023, and if you're still gangbanging over what they were gangbanging in the 60s, for
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Like,
Agreed.
if you can't even ask those questions as someone who's in it, be like, yo, why are we doing this? For what does it mean to be better than the next man at something that doesn't matter?
And again, going back to what we were saying before, you can say the same thing about the military. I can say the same thing about a lot of different things when it comes to the politics between the Democrats and Republicans, things that are still argued about to this day, that haven't been done. And we can start with certain protections for black people in this country that still have not been pushed across the finish line, that for years have been promised and that has never come through. So I agree with you. And again, to the point we were making before, it's not just there. And the only reason I brought it up is because I want people to understand it's not just the kids in the inner city. It's not just these gangbangers. No one is immune from this type of indoctrination, as you were saying earlier. We are all subject to it, depending on how you grew up, who you grew up around, and sometimes you are not even aware of it. You're not even aware of it. Pop says, "Come on, son, pearly gates. I'm just hoping God drops all the charges." So we'll see. We'll see. You and Dion both. Demetria says, "Agreed is no way to live. That's why they ended up not living 100%. Once you're indoctrinated, there's no questioning." Mary says, "I don't disagree. Gangs are dumb. If you're in the middle of it, they are family security and give their life meaning." See here, scrolling through here. 1997. So I assume Demetri was giving us the answer to when Princess died.
Yeah,
8/32/97. Mary says. Demetri said that
831. There's no 32 days in August.
there isn't, and I read it because that's what I saw there because I'm trying to get through. And she did correct herself. She said 8/31. Demetri said they clapped for the guy who killed Nick Nino Brown. Yeah, I thought that was fucked up, Demetri. Nino was my guy. Facebook user says, "So much talent and possibilities lost not only to bullets but to drugs."
And that was Janet.
Janet. All right, all right. Thank you guys, man. That was good.
And Mary, she got the quote, six of one, half a dozen of the other. That was
Okay,
the quote that I was trying to.
because
So thank you, Mary.
Dion sounded so silly. So thank you, Mary, for helping them out.
Half a dozen, six in the box, whatever.
All right, brother. I can't wait for you in this Barbie thing. I want everyone on here, females especially. I shouldn't even say that. I want the men to stay with us too. I don't care if you're black, white, orange, green. You have got to hear this and hear what Dion thinks about it. I promise you, he would not keep you seated there like a black preacher who don't know it's Super Bowl Sunday. Go ahead, Dion.
So, in another group, the Sorry We're Canceled podcast group, one of our faithful listeners posted the Barbie monologue. It's Impossible to Be a Woman. That's the title of the monologue. And she posted this, and I watched it, and then I got the transcript of it, and I read it. And I'm going to read it here. Try to go as quickly as I can. Okay, it says, "It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like we always have to be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but you also have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but also always be looking out for other people. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane, But if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. You're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women because you're supposed to be a part of the sisterhood. But always stand out and always be grateful. But never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but also be grateful. You never get to, you never get old, never be, I'm sorry, let me try that again. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but it's also everything is your fault. Watching that and hearing it applied to women, as a man, I was just like, this is 95% of this could be applied to a man, where you don't get credit for any of the good things you do. You have to lead people who don't appreciate your leadership. The only parts that this whole stupid monologue about it being impossible to be a woman, like, what? You have to be attractive to who? You don't have to be attractive to anybody but the person you want to be with. Who gives a fuck what other people think about you that you aren't interested in? Like, if men got to complain about the shit men do to other men, it just doesn't, life doesn't work that way. People forget that we're animals and that the strongest survive. Like, you are in the situation that you're in, point blank, period. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is it is what it is. But the idea that you have to be thin for who? The guy you like, because that's what he likes. And if the guy you wants you to be thin and you're not, guess what? He's probably not going to like you. So you carry that around with you all day for the rest of your life because the one guy you wanted, you're not what he wants. And now it affects everything that's insane to me. Like, as a man, if I want a job, if I want to be an NBA player, but I don't have the skills to be an NBA player, I don't get to complain about why I don't get to be in the NBA. So the woman who posted that in the group then posted a video of a woman sexually harassing a cop who gave her a ticket. And she was like, this lady gives me energy. And I was like, flip the script. You just talked about how hard it was being a woman and so on and so forth. This lady is literally sexually harassing this man, and you're applauding her. Now, I said, if that was a guy doing that to a female cop, how would that make you feel? And she was like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. And I was like, yeah, you don't think about it from a man's perspective. And that was the most frustrating thing for me, is like, I'm not saying it's not difficult to be a woman, because I get it. But at the same time, it's not nearly as hard as you. If you have pretty privilege, you ain't worried about your ugly sisters. And it's the same thing for men. If you got it made, you don't give a fuck about the loser incel who's in his basement, because that's how life works. The strong survive and the weak perish. It's only because we've civilized society that this shit still happens, where you can be an incel or you can be an ugly woman. Those people died back in the day. They were out of here. So cut the crap. Just cut the crap. I'm sick of it.
I love you go through your entire thing, and it always comes to the end. Dion says, "You know what? Just cut the crap." Like, you could have said.
It's such bullshit. Like, ugh.
When you sent it to me, I think whatever I said to you, you text me right back. You're like, "That's exactly what I said." I am with you. I have a mother. I have sisters. I have a wife. I tell people often one of the strongest people I know is my mom. My wife is a very strong individual. Some of the hardest working people I know is my mom and my wife and other women that I've done work with as well. And that's not for me. What you just read, that's not written for those people. That's written for the women who like to do whoever posted that and then turn around and posted the video. Like, there are so many women that I meet now, whether it be at shows or I just see I was talking about this the other day. There's so many people we have on social media that I know through that only. I'm like, I don't even remember how I know this person. Probably met them at a show and they started following me and I followed back. But they're always posting these little memes all the time. Like they're looking for encouragement for them for their own lives. And here, let me share with you my page of my diary today. That type of thing. I feel like that's who that is written for. The women who do want to sit back constantly and complain about how hard it is and so on and so forth. To your point, a man isn't allowed to do that. And I'll further that point even more. A black man is not allowed to sit around and tell you how hard it is. The eye rolls that would take place in a room if a black man sat and talked about how hard it is to be black and a man in this country, it would make me sick just thinking about it. So for that person, whoever to write that, put that in a movie, and then for a woman to think, "Oh, look how much they get me," and then to repost it, you go get some help, seek some help.
I mean, is Barbie not part of the reason why women have to be thin? Is Barbie not part of the reason why guys like big titties and slim waists? Is Barbie not the cause of that?
Because I didn't see
Did
them
she
cast
not con-
Lizzo in that movie for
I ain't
anything.
never seen a big Barbie doll. Closest thing you got was a Cabbage Patch Kid, and that was fucking baby fat.
Yeah, let me
So
stop you right here. Facebook user says the fucked up part is Barbie literally perpetuated women being thin and everything else in that monologue for over 6 decades. Barbie is predominantly white, and Barbie doesn't recognize homosexuals because, quote, the dolls don't have a sexual orientation. Close quote. Even though everything about Ken and Barbie shout a man and a woman, fuck Barbie. I don't know who wrote that.
that was Dana.
Okay, that was Dana. Dana, great point. And you two, that's why I wanted to stop you because you two were vibing on the same brain wave. Go ahead.
I mean, if you think about it, this you have to be thin. Why? For what? Outside of your own health reasons, why do you have to be thin? To be on the cover of a magazine? Or
Not
why do you
thin.
want to be on the
You should be healthy.
okay, but again, if we're taking let me like these points that are in this monologue that just had people, standing and cheering. You can never say you want to be thin. Why not? Why can't you say that? Why can't you talk about how hard it is to be healthy, quote unquote, to the guy that you want? Like, this is what women don't ever admit to is you're all chasing the same dude. And then you get mad at that dude when he can pick out of all of y'all. It doesn't make any, like, as a man, logically, if you had a bunch of people chasing after you and they all wanted you for the exact same reason, who's gonna check you outside of another man? It's like this whole idea that every woman wants that perfect guy, and like that perfect guy is his percentage of existence is so small that every regular dude is compared to that dream man, and then when he doesn't line up with that, he's the perpetuator of all the negative things that happen in your life. I'm like, you wouldn't even like that guy if you got with him because you pedestalized him your entire life, and then when you meet him and realize that he's been up here the whole time and no one's ever checked him, so he ain't gonna treat you the way you hope he would treat you unless he had a really good mama and daddy. Like, it just ugh.
But I'll take that a step further too, Dion, because for a lot of them, and I'm basing off conversations I've had with them, basing off conversations that they want to have out in the open and record and throw up on the internet for the world to see. You sent me a video of that Angela Yee's show where she did a kind of a round table with four of her girlfriends, and they talked about men and would you go out with a man who didn't have as much money as you? And all these broads said no. Because what if I want to turn up? You got to be able to turn up. What I didn't work this hard so I could. She said, but what if he was really nice and treated you well? I mean, what if, would you pay if you had to pay it on the date? Or no, like all these different things. And Angela kept trying to, in my opinion, it took me back to Chris Rock when he did the bit about Michael Jackson going to court. Or not court, but in
Yes.
60 Minutes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, Angela Yee is trying to make you guys look human, to quote Chris Rock. Well, what if he was this? You're trying to give him this man who doesn't make as much money as you do, but he has all these other positive attributes. And still, all four of them to a woman were like, no, I'm out on that dude. So to your point, you guys want this guy, but all of you can't have this guy. But you refuse to settle for a lesser guy, if you will, because he doesn't have all the things in today's market. The money seems to be what it is,
Well,
but you give it all up for that.
and what they fail to realize is the fact that they all want the same guy, and when they get that guy, those girls still want that guy. And so it don't matter what you say or what you do. If he wants to, there ain't nothing stopping him from getting another girl just like you. So this whole situation of if I make more money than my man, he ain't gonna be my man for long. I'm like, you do realize that the higher up you go as a woman, the worse it is in the dating market for you. If you don't want to pay for your husband, how are you going to get the man who can pick all the other girls just like you? How are you going to keep that guy? Because that's not men do not operate the same way that women do. I know women don't like to hear that, but that's just the truth. It takes another man to check another man. And in this whole Barbie situation, I'm like, no one's making it. You're making it hard on you. You're competing with your sister to get the dream guy that you want, knowing that there's not that many of them.
Well, but and again, going back to kind of what we you and I always say, it doesn't have to the guy. And for guys, I would tell guys the same thing. The woman you get does not have to make it. She doesn't have to be the greatest in bed. She doesn't have to be the greatest cook. Whatever it is your brain is stuck on, what it should be stuck on, she has to be a good person and she has to be supportive of whatever it is I'm trying to do. And I should want to support whatever it is she is trying to do. And I would take that advice, and that would be the same advice that I would give to a woman. But it seems that I can find more men who will listen to that than I can women who would listen to that.
Well, I mean, what women want in a man, what the average woman wants in a man, they say they want, but when they get it, they don't respect it. So we go back to the Angela Yee conversation with those four women when she was trying to get them to understand that a guy who makes less than them is not inferior in the relationship value. Yet all these women were like, well, if he can't do what I can do, then what do I need him for? It's like, so you don't end up by yourself because the point of life is to apparently be with other people. Now, not everybody's like that. I'm one of those people who's not like that. I don't need anybody else. At the end of the day, I have no problem dying alone. And people are like, don't you want kids to help take care of you? Not really. No, I don't. Because I kind of had to take care of my dad when he was going through it. It sucked. I wouldn't want to put my kids through that. When it's my time to go, don't do nothing extra. Don't waste no extra money trying to keep me alive for the next another 7, 8, 9 months or a year. You don't got to do it. It's a waste of money. Let me get on up out of here and keep it moving. I said it here on the podcast because I know good. There's just no point in that. When it's time to go, get your ass on.
Can you repeat that again? You don't want to. You don't
Yes.
want the extra.
When it's time for me to go.
Bro, trust me. I'm gonna come by once a week, dab the drool out the corner of your mouth, for you, pat you on the head, maybe read you the sports page or something. Vegas odds. And then I'll push out.
God damn it, the Giants done did it again.
But Mary says we haven't recorded.
I got it written down, Mary. I ain't worried about it.
So do I. All right. Mary says, and it's the same false expectations. Women do put men on a pedestal, and then they get mad when they aren't perfect. Pop says too often it comes down to self-esteem, but some people have to get past material things / worth, as opposed to a good person. These reality shows about fame, etc. If either of my daughters have appeared on one, you'd better be wearing the best damn disguise. Don't lead them back to me. For me, if a woman is a court low in the heart department, I don't care how physically attractive you are to me. We can't hang. You have to be a good person. And then Facebook user says you shouldn't judge anyone by their paycheck. Judge the person's merits. 100%.
That's Janet Holt.
Janet, I agree with you on that. That was good. I wanted to make sure Dion got that in, and we talked about that before we ended the show, because I was a little nervous about doing it. I wasn't sure what type of reaction we'd get. I think we try very hard not to be seen as women bashers because we're not, or as being chauvinists because we're not, and all those other things that some people like to label men with. But we wanted to throw this on the table and actually have a real discussion with you guys. So I thank you for
But
allowing us to do that.
if you think about it though, this we are equal crap that people spew, men and women are equal in the eyes of the law, which they are, they should be. But I don't understand why a woman would want man privilege, because it doesn't work out for the majority of men. It doesn't. There's percentages. It's the same way on the flip side when you have pretty privilege versus being an ugly woman. Like it's like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and in season 10, there's this restaurant. If you haven't watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's done by Larry David, who's one of the co-creators of Seinfeld. It's absolutely an awesome show. One of this episodes, Di, that restaurant has a pretty section and it has an ugly section, and Larry's upset because he keeps being sat in the ugly section every time he's brought into the restaurant. And I love this episode because one, I would love to, man, just walk into a restaurant and see that they've done that. But two, I tell people often this world is made for a certain group of people. The rest have to figure your fucking way through it, and find your fucking spot in it. But I did want to say this though, before we end the show. When you sent me that video, Angela Yee and those four women talking about this, do you remember what I texted you back? I said, not one of them bitches is wearing a wedding ring. Mm-hmm. Not one. And so when you said, I used to tell my sister all the time, and I tell any other female, y'all sit around and you have these conversations with women about men and what man you should be with and what man should give you and all these different things. You're never ever talking to anyone that I ever see who's wearing a wedding ring and has been in any type of relationship or marriage of any substance ever. You're getting all this advice from someone who's probably going home alone after she's done talking.
And it's one of those things like if you changed a few of those words in that speech, it would apply to a guy where you're judged on how you do it. You're judged on
Absolutely.
You're supposed to lead people, but it's one of those things like you can't lead people and be an asshole unless you can whoop everybody's ass that you're trying to lead. They ain't gonna follow you. Mm-hmm. So it's like it takes a man to be like, yo, this guy's an asshole. We're not gonna follow him. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the day, if you're physically weaker than somebody, you don't have the privilege of being an asshole. You can't just walk up to somebody and talk to them any old kind of way. And then when they slap you in the face, like, oh, woe is me. Why did you hit me? That's not fair. That's not how life works, man or woman. So that monologue really, really just frustrated me. And the fact that the woman who posted it then flipped on the flip side, posted a sexual harassment video and didn't realize that it was a sexual harassment video. I'm like, the nerve of you. And she's a huge supporter of Sorry We're Canceled, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like, come on, like you can't say
you called her on it.
You can't say that men are this, that, and the third, and then flip it. Oh, but when he's sexy and attractive, it's all good, fine, and dandy. Like, no, this is a load of crap. And then if men did that to women, we would be every negative word about men there is. So it's just
first thing I thought when you said that, when you talked about it, I was like, God forbid that was the other way.
The double standard is ridiculous, but that's just the world that we live in. You know, men have to pay to get in the club. If women are fine enough, they get in for free. That's just the world. That's just how business is. So you get in where you fit in. Are we doing our pick threes?
I figure we'll save that. We'll save that.
All right. Well, all right. We'll do it next week.
Well, I mean, we're an hour and a half in, so we'll save that one.
Oh, but we're not losing any viewers. Everybody's loving the show, I think.
We have lost viewers. I'm always keeping an eye. so T.I., what is your what the hell this week?
My what the hell is up with doing construction in the middle of the day on a Saturday where everybody's out and traveling? I had to go podcast this Saturday, and it's noon. And they done closed off the center lane to paint the street dots on a Saturday at 12 o'clock. Like, hello? Nobody was out Thursday night. Why didn't you do it Thursday? You didn't have to paint? What? Construction, please, for the love of God, Get it all done in one go. Why do we wait 9, 10, 11, 12 months? These crews should be on 12-hour shifts, 12 during the day, 12 during. Get the fucking road done. It don't take that long. It don't take 12 months to put up a fucking bridge. It don't take that long. I don't understand it. Get two different crews in here that follow the same rules. Get all this shit done so we can keep it moving. It's ridiculous. I hate it. It's a just it's a giant. Indiana is completely under construction all the goddamn time. Hire who you need to hire, pay them what you need to pay, so they get the work done, so that we all get back to our regularly scheduled program. I'm sick of this shit.
Facebook user says, "Cause all of us 9 to 5ers losers complain when they do it in the middle of the weekday. That's why." Mary says, "At least they paint your roads." Mary, you ain't lying about that, boy. They are slacking on putting the lines down out here in the Phoenix area. Bruce says, "Keep it coming, Bruce. I appreciate you, brother, for loving the show. We're gonna end this show. It's real soon." When Facebook user says, "Love is not." Oh no, I want to end it on that. Demetria says, "We have construction in Phoenix every weekend on the freeway." We do. On that note, because Demetria put Phoenix and that reminded me of something, I do not have a what the hell this week. Only thing I did want to say was I'm shooting my special here in Phoenix on November 11th. If you are someone here who is in the Valley, I would love for you to be a part of it, to be there. It's going to be a real live shoot. Dion is flying in for it to be a part of it, to be here. Got a great team. We're going to have my birthday party right after the show at the same venue. It's real easy to get tickets. There are still some available. Don't be like Phoenix people and wait to the very last minute, because when tickets are gone, they're gone, and I'm not doing any favors. Just go to Sydney Smith Creative, CRE, the number 8, TIV.com, and buy your tickets there. I would be so appreciative of that. Let me scroll back up, because this is going to be a great way. I'm not even going to do it what the hell. I want to end it with this here, because I thought this was great. I'm not even sure who said this, Dion, if you can find the name, but it says, "Love is not a paycheck or a dress size or social standing. Love just is." Married 36 years.
That's Janet.
Janet, you are who women and men need to be talking to. People like you, people who put in that type of time, put in that type of work, because marriage is work. I've been married for 5 years, and sometimes I feel like I'm working overtime. So you've been doing it for 36 years. That's awesome, and I hope that we can make it that long as well. I don't dare say we will, because the minute you do, you're taking it all for granted after that. So 36 years is outstanding. Love is not a paycheck or a dress size or social standing. Love just is. And that comes from Janet, married 36 years. That's who you need to be talking to. Get some life advice from some people who know the fuck they talking about. On that note, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for rocking with us for an hour and a half. We will be back next Monday on Not As Debatable. If you are joining us for the first time, please go ahead and become a member of the group. Become a member of the group. We love that. We love that. Di, anything you got to say to the people before we get out?
Appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure that you hit that share button if you haven't already. Please, it helps get more eyes on us through the Facebook algorithm. Also, hit those emojis, whether it be the heart, the laughter, or the thumbs up. That always boosts the algorithm as well. If you're listening on YouTube, leave us a comment. That would be great. That helps the algorithm. And if you're listening on the podcast, please leave a review. That always helps as well. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next Monday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Susie. Love you too, Mary. And yep, Mary says join the Patreon too. All right, you guys are awesome. Love you guys. See ya.
Good night.
Man, that was a hell of a good show.